Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brian with Brian's Auto and Diesel Repair. Today we have a 6.7 liter Ford diesel and it's a 2012 F250, and this truck, or this engine I should say, is notorious for this oil leak. So I'm going to teach you how to fix it today. Get rid of that pesky oil leak. It's always in the front of the motor and dripping like crazy and annoying as heck. And it happens quite often on these engines. So if you can learn how to do this job on your own, you'll be saving you so much money, and it's not very hard to do. You see that vacuum pump right there? That vacuum pump right there. You see all that oil, all this oil around it right here? Right. Well, so right here, that right there, see these little bolts here, this number 8 bolt right there, you got about 4 or 5 of them that hold this pump on, and 90% of the time they're all loose. They work themselves loose over time, but it's good to go ahead and replace the gasket as well, you know, if it is leaking. I wouldn't recommend just tightening it up, because the gasket is already it's already leaking, and it would just you have to take everything off to get to all the bolts anyway, so it wouldn't make no sense just to tighten them and not replace the gasket. Once you're down there, because you got to pull the fan out and everything, you might as well just replace the gasket, because to tell you the truth, this job is like $475 labor, and like literally the part is like 15 bucks, so it's good to just replace the part. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you how to replace this vacuum pump gasket, and that way you can do it on your own, and you'll save yourself a lot of money. All right. Hey everybody, this is Brian with Brian's Auto and Diesel Repair, and today what we're going to do is we're going to replace the vacuum pump gasket on this Ford 6.7 liter. It's a 2012. These are notorious for leaking, by the way. So our leak is right about right there. This is the vacuum pump right here, and what's happening is it's seeping out, and over time it's dripping. Maybe we have a drip on the floor so I can show you. So there's our drip right there, and there's our leak. So when you get under it, you'll see that it's all wet under here. But what's happening is it's working itself down from that vacuum pump, all the way down from where that vacuum pump is, and running down. It's all wet back there too, by the way. Hold on, let me do this. So I'm gonna show you. See behind that? Oh, hold on. Okay. Right there behind it. You see all that wetness? All that is coming from that vacuum pump, and it's just working itself down over time. So we're going to try and attempt to stop that from happening. These are notorious. I'm telling you, if you have a 6.7 liter, you are going to run into this. So this video will help you do it on your own and save you about 500 bucks. Alright guys, first what we're going to do to start off on this job, we are going to remove the air filter housing here. And what else? We're going to remove, we're going to drain the water out of this. We're going to move this out of the way. And that's where we're going to start. When I get that off, we'll show you. You're going to need 8mm socket for all these fittings. You'll need to unplug your wire here. That's about it right now. You just need an 8mm socket and ratchet, and take this one off, take this one off, take these two off, get this air filter housing out of here, okay? Guys, first off, we're going to drain our water on the passenger side. We got that going. Alright, we got the air filter housing out here. As you see, I pointed at the, you're going to have a nut here, and then you're going to have one here where it sits, you know. And then you're going to have 2 for this right here, the coolant reservoir. You have 2, and then you lift up and then move it. That way you can move this around during the process, okay? So next, this one I undid here from the radiator right here. And we're just going to run this. This truck has been deleted already, so it's kind of going to be easier on us. So that hose is out of the way. and you got this loose. So we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to get this hose out of here, and we're going to undo our power steering pump here, our reservoir here, and that's it. When I get done with that, I'll get right back with you. Okay, on this one, guys, you're going to have this lock here that's in this. I worked it out of there, but just work that lock off. Here's what the lock looks like right here. Work that lock out of there, and that way you can pull this off the intake there. And then now, you see that bolt there on the other end of this? Right. Let me get my light for y'all. Right there. We're going to hit that. That's an 11 millimeter or a 7/16. You could use either or. You need to loosen that, and then you have this electric plug here. It plugs in right back here if you can see it. It's hard to see, but there's a plug right there. There it is. Right there. Right there. There's the plug. That's where this goes right here. So you want to unplug that, undo your bolt, undo your lock, and then that should come out. Alright guys, here's that tube right here. You can get a better look at it. There's the plug on it right there. That's your bolt, that 7/16 or 11 millimeter. And there's where the lock goes. I always do this, guys. I'll put the lock back on it right now. That way you just slide it on it and it locks in place. So also what I do is I take a little bit of STP right here, and I put it on the inside where the O-ring is, so it slides on better. So that's off now. We'll move on to the next step, which is we're going to start working getting this fan out of here. Okay, so that's our next step. We will get this metal section out of here, this little cover here, and we should be able to work around everything. Okay, you see we got the shroud out. So I'm going to show you what I undid to get this shroud out, and it gives us so much more room now. And I could actually take that out right there if I wanted to, but I could work around it. So the less you have to take off, the better, I say. So anyway, shroud's out. Let me show you how you get that out. Alright, you're going to undo your reservoir like I told you before. You're going to undo the power steering reservoir right here. This is your coolant reservoir right here. Then if you look down, you got two bolts on the driver's side, right there and right there. And then you have one right in the front here. So 3 bolts on this side. Then you got wires that are connected to it. You got to undo these wires, so don't forget about that. Then on this side you got one bolt down there, and one bolt right there. One bolt, and you have a couple of wires that are mounted to the shroud, so you got to pull those wires, the little brackets off. And then once you get that, you can slide the passenger side up first and then work it out. So go up on the passenger side and then work it out from the driver's side. Okay, so that ought to take care of your reservoir. Alright guys, next what we're going to do is we're going to take our fan out. We're going to get this fan out of the way. What we're going to do is we're going to undo the fan from the pulley here, and you need to go towards the passenger side to loosen. So remember that. Towards the passenger, turning towards the passenger will loosen this fan. Tightening is going towards the driver, rotation towards the driver, okay? So I'm going to get that out of here. And what is this? So we got to figure out where this came from. It shouldn't be there. It probably came off an old one. I think they just replaced that hose not too long ago. So anyways, so that's what we're going to do. Take the fan out next, and once I get that out, we'll move on to the next step. See guys, I loosened it up, and now it is turning towards the passenger side, and it's coming off. So guys, see that 13 right there? Right there. We got to pull that 13 out because that's the bracket for the fan. Once we get that 13 out right there, it's a long bolt. The fan should be able to come out, okay? Okay, so as you see, the belt is out now. I mean, the fan is out now. So that's out of our way, and let me show you over here on the fan. There's the fan right there. Now look, there's that bracket I was talking about with that 13 going through it. You got to pull that 13 millimeter bolt. It looks like this, like that. get that out of there, and then undo your fan. Make sure the fan doesn't fall forward and hit your radiator and put a hole in it, because I've seen that happen before. So be real careful whenever that fan's coming undone. And then you should be able to move this a little bit out of the way, and the fan comes right up out the middle here, okay? Next up, what we're doing now is we're going to remove this belt off the engine. We're replacing this belt because it would make no sense not to while we're in here. So we're going to replace this belt. We're going to undo the belt, and then we got to get this metal section out. Once I get to that point, I'll show you. There's like 5 bolts, I think, but I'll show you as soon as we get the belt off, okay? You're going to use that tensioner right there. It's a 3/8. You'll need a 3/8 ratchet. It's a 3/8 fitting there on the tensioner. So you'll need 3/8, and then undo the belt. All right, there's our belt right there. Got our big belt off, and there's our new belt on the desk right there that we'll put on later. But now, the next step, we already took that 113 out over here, right? Well, we got one right there. We got one behind this tensioner here that we got to pull the tensioner off. You'll need a 15mm socket to pull this tensioner off. Pull that tensioner off, just lay it down in the bottom down there, and then there's going to be a 13mm down below it right there. There's going to be a 13 right here and a 13 right here. So you got, right now you got 1, 2, 3, 4 more bolts, and this whole metal section right here will come out so we can get to that vacuum pump. Alright, there's our 4 bolts out of the 5 bolts. You know, we took that first one out to get that fan out. So we put those up there out of the way. There's our whole pulley bracket there we took off. Right there. And then there's the tensioner right there. I just leave those sitting down in there. I left the bolt in the tensioner. But look, now, look at that. We can see our leak. You see that? That's where all our oil's coming from. There's a gasket right behind that vacuum pump there. So we're going to pull the vacuum pump. You got 1, 2, I believe 5 bolts. Let's go over here and look at the new gasket, and that way I'll give you the right number. But there are 8mm bolts, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. 4 bolts. Here's the new vacuum pump gasket. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 bolts you need to take out of that vacuum pump, and they're 8mm. And that'll be it, man. Just get that off, and then it's kind of tricky going back in. You got to make sure it's lined up with the gear that's in there. So that's about it, though. So pull your 8mm head bolts, and then we're going to clean off this whole middle part of the engine. That's another most important thing. As soon as you get this vacuum pump off, man, clean as best you can this whole front of this engine here. Just clean, clean, clean. Okay? Alright guys, we cleaned this engine up. If you look at it now, it's pretty clean. Cleaned it up real good, nice and neat, everything. No oil everywhere. Now we're going to pull the vacuum pump off and replace this gasket behind it, okay? Alright, there's our gasket, guys. We pulled it off. Here's our vacuum pump off. All I got to do is detach it from the vacuum line here, this rubber hose, and bring it out, and we're going to clean it up real good. So I'm going to do that, but it's off, and you can see where it's keyed in right there. See right there where it's hard to see in here, man. See, it goes inside this slot right there, and you got the head of it. See the head of it. So you got to make sure this fits in to the key right here on this way whenever you go back in. It's super easy though. So we're going to pull the vacuum pump out, disconnect it from this line here, and clean it up real good. Okay guys, here's the new gasket on, and let me show you. It has little tabs on it, and what you want to do is you want to fold the tab over to hold this gasket in place. So now when I move the gasket around, I could turn it upside down because I have those tabs holding it. See that tab right there? So make sure you got your tabs holding the gasket in, and then all you gotta do is line this shaft up with the keyway on the gear, and it'll slide right in, man. So there's your vacuum pump gasket. I hope this is helping you. Alright, so we got our vacuum pump in, as you can see. The vacuum pump's in. I went around this thing 4 times to make sure that these are torqued down good. So I just work around clockwise and do it like 4 separate times and make sure. Don't tighten them, over tighten them, but don't under tighten them. I kind of go with my wrist power, as strong as my wrist is, and that should work. You could put some Loctite on these, but I wouldn't recommend it. But you can put Loctite on them if you want to. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to put our bracket back on here. You got 4 bolts holding it on, and then we're going to leave that 1 bolt out until we put the fan in. Okay, so all 4 of these bolts except for this bolt right here we're not going to put back until we put the fan in it. So we're going to put that in right now, and we're also going to install our tensioner that we took off. We're going to put that back, and then we're going to move on to the belt, but I'll start it back up whenever we get to the belt. Okay, you got to remember, you got a 15 millimeter on that tensioner to tighten it, and these are 13 millimeter for your bracket, your pulley bracket. Alright guys, we got the belt on. As you can see, belt's on, brand new belt, brand new vacuum pump gasket. Next we're going to work on getting that fan back in there. You're going to turn towards the driver's side for it to, you're going to rotate towards the driver's side to put it back on. And make sure you get that fan tight when you're tightening it, because if you don't tighten it, it'll come off while your customer's driving the truck, and you don't want that. Okay, so we're going to clean off that harmonic balancer pulley too. You see it's kind of wet right down there. We're going to clean that off. We're going to get underneath the truck, and we're going to clean as best we can underneath all that oil that's been dropping down there. So we're going to do that too when we're done with it. So right now, just put the fan on, and we'll be right back. Alright, we got our fan in there. It's tight. It ain't going to come off. Just make sure you get this fan tight. Next, we're going to do that bracket, this bracket right here. If we can get it around here. So that bracket that holds this wire, we're going to put that 13 back in there, right there. So you can, the fan will be, the wire won't get cut or anything. And then we're going to plug it back in. Make sure you plug it back in. And then plug your vacuum pump back in too, right here. And that's about it. Then we'll put our metal section back in, okay? Okay, you see we got our power steering hooked back up, our middle parts in. We got our hoses hooked back up here. Our hose hooked up back here. This is solid now. So we're gonna put our intake pipe, our charge pipe, we're gonna put it in right now. This pipe right here. And don't forget, you got a plug on it right there. And it's gonna be 7/16 or 11 millimeter to tighten it. And it should just pop in. I got my lock back in there. That will just push in until it locks, okay? Alright, we got our pipe in here. See how that's locked in? If it's locked in, it won't pull out. So that's locked in. And always make sure this one's in real good. And make sure it's tight, because if not, this whole hose will blow right off of it. This is a lot of pressure on this pipe when you're giving it gas. So then make sure your plug is plugged in. Like you can see, it's plugged in right there. Yeah, see, it's plugged in. So that's done. Next is going to be our intake pipe. This one, you got one plug right there. And just make sure you get it in there. 8 millimeter to tighten it down, and you have clamps on the air filter side. Alright, we got our air filter housing in. It's tight. I think there's one more I loosened that I never even took apart. Alright, so our 8 millimeter there is tight. Our 8 millimeter there is tight. We got our plug plugged in. We got the little bracket held on right there. Got it on. Then you got one 8 bolt right here that holds it in. We're done. The only thing left now to do is fill our coolant system up that we took out. So what we're going to do is go underneath. Oops, I didn't even mean to cut that up. We're going to go underneath the truck and tighten our plug down here for the coolant. And then we're going to put our coolant back in there. Now, you know we lost some, but we tried to catch most of it. So that's all you got to do next. And then after that, you're going to start it up. Alright guys, we got it running. Everything's hooked back up. We're double checking everything. We're looking down here while it's running. Make sure we don't see no leak. Y'all remember what it looked like before. Look how clean that is now. So this will take care of your vacuum pump. It'll save you a lot of money. And let me turn this off real quick. Hold on. I got to show y'all something. Make sure you plug in that plug to the fan. Make sure it's plugged in, and make sure it's clicked in too as well, because you'll run into problems. I've had them have problems plugging in before. So on that wire right there, you want to make sure it's plugged in all the way. And that's it, guys. I hope this video helped y'all do a vacuum pump on this 6-7 liter, because it will save you money in the long run, and it'll get you a little bit of experience on your truck. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you, and please like and share if it helped you. Thanks.